Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to Health and Human Services, Barrett Sports.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I have one item before you today. It's to consider approving a request from the Southwest 18 Minnesota Adult Mental Health Consortium for McLeod County to contribute $50,460 to a restricted fund to assist with cash flow issues. Historically, the Southwest 18 had reserves to assist with cash flow for times when it was waiting for the State Department to reimburse costs submitted. Over time, Southwest 18 has tapped its reserves to pay for services and programs and now relies on the state's block grant. Each county partner, so each of the 18 counties, is being asked to help by adding county dollars to a restricted fund for times when the consortium is not reimbursed in a timely manner or a cash advance by the state is not available or allowed. It is believed that this will be a one-time ask of member counties and not a routine ask. The county will get the dollars back if there is a solution to the state with reimbursement or if the consortium disbands. The McLeod County McLeod County Board, at its October 17th, 2023 meeting, you passed a similar request. Those funds were not paid out because there was not unanimous approval from all county partners. And so at that time, the Southwest 18 received a loan from Prime West in order to help with the cash flow that has since been repaid. In your packet should be a chart of all of the 18 counties and what the ask is. There's two parts to that financial ask. One is a base funding of $15,000, and then also second part is based on our population, which gets us to that $50,460.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Barrett, with the funds, assuming the funds will be in place, is it to stay in place until it's no longer needed or until disbursement is no longer needed out of the fund?
Right. We will keep that restricted fund for as long as the consortium is still standing, because even though we have worked very hard with DHS to try to get these funds earlier to help with the cash flow concerns, we will continue this conversation. We just don't see an end in sight for that. So we will just keep those funds in a restricted account.
Thank you, Barrett. And Mr. Chair? Barrett, question number 2. Is it going to take a unanimous approval by all member counties before we can enact this fund even though we may approve it today?
Great question. The Joint Powers Board did decide, which Commissioner Luthen sits on and was there at the last meeting, did decide that each county is on its own. If you pay into this restricted account, you can get to continue to be part of the Southwest 18. If your county decides not to, you no longer get to participate and get to receive these Adult Mental Health Initiative grant dollars. And I have worked with Colleen. We have reserve dollars because of we provide the administrative and supervision for 2 of the housing specialists. Plus, with the additional funds that we are going to receive through the adult mental health grant, when we took over the fiscal host responsibilities, we projected that we would receive about $78,000 per year in revenue for those duties. Because the grant has increased, our revenue will increase to $173,000.
Mr. Chair, I'll move request.
Okay.
I'll second it, but I have a question. What is the pulse of the other counties? I mean, is anybody saying?
That's a great question. Colleen had asked me that earlier. There have been a few counties that have been kind of on the fence. Late last week, I heard that they all agreed to it, and those were the counties that we were a little bit concerned about. So fairly confident that all will participate in this.
Okay.
Okay. So we have the motion to approve is by Schmalz, second by Nagel. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up will be our Auditor Treasurer's Office.
Good morning, Chair Wright, Board.
Morning.
Today I'm here for one item, to consider approving the resolution of intent to initiate the proceedings to correct and reestablish the drainage system records of county ditches 8, 10, and 36. In accordance with 103E.101 subdivision 4A, the Drainage Authority may correct and reestablish records of a drainage system. Part of this process is to have the historic review reports completed to aid in establishing the alignment, cross-section, profile, and right-of-way of a drainage system. Houston Engineering, Inc., out of Maple Grove, Minnesota, has prepared estimated costs for the drainage systems as follows. CD8, $37,000, CD10, $34,500, and CD36, $28,000.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I will move request and comment if there's a second.
Okay, we have a motion by Schmalz, a second by Nagel, to approve. Comments?
Mr. Chair, yeah, what's being put before us is very typical of the ditch systems that we've already reviewed in McLeod County, and typical with the systems within my district, District 1 in McLeod County. I think we have many parcel owners who are interested in seeing this data. They're interested in the efficiency of their ditch system, and this will accomplish that as we move forward. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Again, our motion is to approve to initiate the proceedings to correct and reestablish drainage system records on county ditches 8, 10, and 36. Are there any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Environmental Services.
Good morning.
Morning.
One item for your consideration this morning, and that is to consider approving a joint powers collaboration agreement for the implementation of the South Fork Crow River Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan. This agreement is made and entered into by and between the counties of McLeod, Renville, Meeker, Candy, Ohio, Sibley, and Wright, by and through their respective Board of Commissioners. The McLeod, Renville, Meeker, Candy, Ohio, Sibley, Wright, and Carver County Soil and Water Conservation Districts by and through their respective Board of Supervisors, and the Buffalo Creek Watershed District by and through its Board of Managers, collectively referred to as the parties. The parties are all government units as defined in Minnesota Statute 471.59, Subdivision 1. This agreement is intended to create a joint powers collaboration and provide a framework for the operation pursuant to Section 471.59. The recitals and provisions herein are intended to be integrated and together form the entirety of the agreement. With the consent of the previously referenced boards, we are engaged to assist the policy committee of the parties to draft a joint powers collaboration agreement under which to implement the comprehensive watershed management plan, one watershed one plan for the South Fork of the Crow River, one watershed one planning area 13. The Board of Water and Soil Resources Bowser approved this watershed management plan on March 27th. The parties have adopted resolutions adopting the plan and committing to its implementation within the territorial boundary of each party. McLeod County Board of Commissioners did approve this resolution on December 19th, 2023. The Policy Committee seeks your approval of the JPCA. The JPCA was routed to each county attorney for review and comment, and to risk managers at the McLeod County Intergovernmental Trust. All comments and issues have been resolved in the final document that is attached according to its terms. You can see paragraph 8R of the JPCA. JPCA will not become effective until the agreement is fully executed and the Bowser issues final approval of the watershed management plan. The City of Winston has opted not to become an initial party to the agreement, though it was a party to the planning process, and has adopted a resolution adopting the plan and committing to its implementation. So frankly, this is a joint powers collaboration agreement which allows us as McLeod County to access $1.28 million through this biennium. It is a money that's intended as a voluntary practice for landowners if there are projects out there to help with the clean water or erosion control issues that some of the landowners are facing today. Colton and Ryan are here if there is anything that you have, I do appreciate them being here. They've worked and they've taken the lead on this one watershed, one plan. 80% of McLeod County is covered in the one watershed, one plan for the Crow River. So that is a big talking point. When this first started, one watershed, one planning, it was a little clunky, if you will. It's gotten much better. Collaboration with this group has been very good. So definitely looking forward to implementation of this and starting some of these projects that we can help some of the landowners with.
Can you give us some examples of projects that would be eligible for this money?
I'm going to defer to these guys because they are typically, I mean, I can speak to that, but I don't want to speak out of turn, so I'll turn that over to Colton.
Good morning.
Good morning.
There's a number of things that can be done with these funds. A lot of it's going to come down to erosion control measures, non-structural and structural practices. Some of the work that you could see a resemblance to would be the work we've already done up on County Ditch 11 in Winstead, just as I guess, a comparison. Anything and everything that is in the document that we've already had approved, if we can find a way to access the funds through an engineering project or something similar, it would be an eligible expense. The field office technical guide through the federal government, Natural Resource Conservation Service, drives a lot of the initiatives that these funds are eligible for. We do follow that document closely, and pretty much anything that's in there is going to be an eligible piece to the funding mechanism.
And then what is it an intense process to access these funds? Is it a time-consuming process to access these funds?
Yeah, the access is going to come from that voluntary piece from the landowner. It could take anywhere from 3 months to 3 years. Some projects where planting a cover crop is far less intensive on the planning piece compared to an engineering project that may take 1 to 3 years to design.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So just a few comments. This is about 2 years in the making and an awful lot of work. County boards and their soil and water conservation districts met frequently to put all this together. Our crew here between Colton and Ryan did a lot of the lifting on this. We received some really good participation on public input as far as things to include in here. That a big piece of this is all voluntary. This is all voluntary practices. Landowners that want to come forward and are looking to do some improvements have access to these dollars. And so we're finally here today making that last approval so that money is now available within this watershed area. That work that these guys did is very impressive, and so a big thank you to them for being able to organize continuously all those meetings and events to gain all that public input to put this together. So.
And if I may, Mr. Chair, one more thing in regards, this is replacing individual county plans of the way that we used to plan for water resources in the past, which were very limited funding, no project-based dollars. So this is a huge opportunity moving forward for projects that landowners are looking to get done if they do qualify for the money.
I'll move request, Mr. Chair.
All right, we have a motion, and I'll second that one. So we have a motion by Schmalz, a second by Wright to approve. Looking for the language here, was it flipping fast enough? To approve the Joint Powers Collaborative Agreement for the implementation of the South Fork Crow River Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Good.
In light of the awareness that we all have about water issues and protecting our water resources, I think this is a great move. I do appreciate the work and the effort that all the entities have put into getting us to this point today. When I reviewed the packet, when you see how many counties are involved, how many soil and water conservation districts are involved, how many attorneys are involved as county attorneys, and again, also private consulting, I believe it'll to be a very worthy collaboration, and I thank you for the effort.
Were there any other highlights that you wanted to cover? You do have a few bullet points that you could cover on a PowerPoint, Colton. Did you want to just go through?
Yeah, if there's time, we can certainly work through that if you guys would like.
We got time, and it's going to be raining all day anyways.
Sure, yeah. If Stefan wants to advance the slide, we can certainly work through that. So just kind of a little bit of backstory on this. We talk about it a lot, but some people may have not had a lot of involvement in it. What is One Watershed, One Plan? If you look here, you can see it's a statewide program. It's eliminating those county boundaries that Mark referenced. Water doesn't stop at the county line, it keeps moving through. So this is a way to collectively look at that. And the final product is going to be a 10-year comprehensive watershed management plan. If you look at the photo there, that's on the left side with the red, that just shows watershed districts. They are completely governed different. They're a government unit as a standalone. If you look at the right side with the multicolors, that is all the participating in One Watershed, One Plan efforts. If you look in outstate Minnesota, as of today, there's only 3 watersheds statewide that have not done this process. I believe that the state's on track to complete them this year, so the whole state will be under adoption of this soon. If you look at the next slide, you can see a few things it's not. Like I said, compared to a watershed district, it's not a new layer of government, it's not regulatory, and it's not technical. It takes technical reports and considers them as part of our process to plan for water quality, but it's not a formal technical report. It's more public facing and something for the average consumer or constituent to review and understand. Moving to the next slide. The next 2 slides actually will just show some of the things that we've done to market that public kickoff event in June 22nd of 2022, trying to reach the rural landowners very much so in particular, as this is an ag dominant community or watershed. But working through this, we try to do everything we could, and that meeting really set us up to move into the planning process, so it was essential to try and have a fair attendance there. After that meeting, we then brought together several different committees. Policy committee was elected officials appointed by each board. The technical advisory committee was a group of public members, state agencies, and local staff. And then that steering team was the more intrinsically involved group, the local government staff and state agency folks. You can advance to the next slide here. How's it different? Traditionally, we had very small appropriations, otherwise would have to compete with other areas to get funds to do water projects. This now brings us non-competitive appropriation of $1.2 million every biennium. Moving to the next one, this is kind of that timeline we followed. So it did, like Paul had mentioned, take some time, but we did get there. We're at the finish line now. If you can move forward. This is the introductory statement and the executive summary. We made sure to include this in there because we wanted to make sure everyone was well aware this is not regulatory and focuses on voluntary conservation. Moving on to the next slide, you'll see a modeling scenario. A required component of this process was to look at different modeling outcomes and how water quality would change with the amount of dollars available in the landscape given. This assumes 100% treatment where realistic, and with 100% treatment, we still would not touch all water quality standard goals. So just something to keep in mind. With $169 million, we still wouldn't be able to achieve some of these TMDL requirements that are set forth in more technical documents. If you want to move forward. Priority issues that came out of this process, these are our tier 1, so the highest priority: drainage water management, loss of water storage and altered hydrology, nutrient loading to surface waters, wind and water erosion, as well as soil health. Moving on to the next slide, you can see the goals we set to achieve some of these things. I won't go too in depth on this, but we feel that most of these are fairly attainable. If you move forward, you'll see our kind of 5-phased approach on how we're going to get to the finish line in that 10-year span and trying to accomplish the goals set forth. And if you want to advance to the next one here, yeah, just the end of the presentation.
Okay.
Just a quick overview.
Yep, very quick overview. A lot of stuff, a lot of time involved. Any other questions at all, board? All right, seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time. Next up will be Public Works.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm requesting the board to consider approving an estimate for a new playground equipment and installation from Midwest Playscapes at a cost not to exceed $40,000, with $15,000 coming from Fairgrounds Capital Fund and $25,000 coming from the ARPA Fund. Playground located at the fairgrounds has been discussed among staff and the Fairgrounds Commission for a number of years. With numerous events held at the fairgrounds, including various 4-H activities, there is a need to offer an area where children can play and be entertained. The proposal includes a play set with 2 slides, multiple play options, as well as a swing set with 2 regular seats, 1 ADA seat, and 1 toddler seat. The total footprint of the playground will be 64 by 36 feet, and it'll be located within the south portion of the inner mall area of the fairgrounds. The colors have yet to be selected. Installation would likely occur in fall of 2024. There has been $15,000 budgeted for the playground and carried over since 2022. Also, a second estimate of $52,845.16 was received from Northwoods Playgrounds and Parks Amenities. The Fairgrounds Commission recommends approval of the project, and I did want to note that the whole idea of the playground is not necessarily to attract a lot of families and kids to that playground from outside of the fairground, but more so when we have the events to offer another amenity for those renters as well as the visitors for various events that are held at the fairgrounds.
Okay, questions, anyone? Questions? I can make a motion to approve. Is there a second? A motion by Wright, second by Neal to approve the new playground equipment as a not to exceed $40,000. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Item B, consider awarding state aid project 043613006, the County State Aid Highway 13 Overlay Project, to Knife River Corporation of Sauk Rapids, Minnesota, at a cost of $745,806.03 from the highway construction budget. The engineer's estimate for this project was $244.10. 5 other bids were received, ranging from $781,000 to $924,000.
Okay. I know my constituents in Penn Township have been waiting a long time for this, and Andrew's joined us at some meetings down there to meet with them, and so thank you for his time on that. I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
And a second.
A motion by Wright, second by Schmaltz to approve County State Aid Highway 13 Overlay Project at a cost of $745,806.03. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Item C, consider additional design engineering services from Erickson Engineering LLC due to changes beyond what was originally proposed in the previous agreement on Old Bridge 43506 or New Bridge 43566 on County State Aid Highway 17 at a cost of $13,000 with funds from the highway construction budget. Additional services beyond the original scope of work include super elevation transitions onto the bridge deck, including additional detailing and stool height calculations, additional details per MnDOT bridge office request. Due to staff shortages at the highway department, we had them, having them put together the joint application for wetland encroachment and have them file the DNR permit, as well as the soil buffering report.
Okay, questions, anyone? We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Nagel, second by Schmaltz to consider approving additional engineering services from Erickson Engineering Company at a cost of $13,000. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Information technology, Mr. Troska.
Good morning.
Morning.
Item A, consider approving a statement of work from Exigent Solutions of Minneapolis, Minnesota for implementation of network infrastructure equipment at the courthouse and law enforcement center at a cost of $22,297.50 with funds from the information technology budget. A second quote of $31,084.50 was received from Insight Public Sector. This is the professional services for item B.
Okay, questions, anyone?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
And yeah, you just answered my question, Matt, is how this was connected with our next item coming up. So with that, I'll move the request.
Okay, is there a second? Motion by Schmaltz, second by Nagel, to approve the work of Exigent Solutions at a cost of $22,297.50. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item B, consider approving quote from Exigent Solutions of Minneapolis, Minnesota to replace network infrastructure equipment, 5 years of support and maintenance at the courthouse and law enforcement center for a state contract price of $228,464.37, plus shipping with funds from the information technology budget. The equipment being replaced is approaching 10 years old and has begun to show signs of issues as it continues to age. A set quote of $268,506.48 was received from Insight Public Sector. Exigent also provided a quote with 3 years of support and maintenance for $190,997.37, and Insight provided a 3-year quote for $199,985.06.
Okay, questions on that?
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Matt, when the quote for 3 years of support and maintenance is calculated at the end, how is that over and above the contract price of the $228,000?
The 3-year quote is a separate quote that they provided as an option instead of the 5-year quote. So we could select the 3-year quote, so it would include the equipment plus 3 years of maintenance, or it's the equipment plus 5 years of maintenance. Does that answer your question?
I'll follow up with another question, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, yeah.
So, Matt, so I'm trying to understand this, and
Sure.
hopefully the public following along can understand it a little bit as well. So we'll deal with the support after making the expenditure on the first price, on the state contract price, correct?
No, the support is included with the quote. So it's actually cheaper for us to purchase 5 years of support and maintenance up front than it is if we purchase 3 years of support and maintenance up front.
That helps me a lot, Matt. Thank you. I'm understanding it a little bit better now, Mr. Chair.
Good. Okay, any further questions or motions on ready to go? I can make a motion to approve on that 5-year contract. Is there a second? Motion by Wright, second by Nagel, to consider a quote from Exigent Solutions for a 5 years support and equipment at a cost of $228,464.37. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
For myself and the viewing public, I will say that, we discussed this at workshop. Matt did a presentation on what we were looking for with the action he's bringing forward to us today. So we have an awareness of the ask and also an understanding of what the ask is. So I can support the motion, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Yeah, this is obviously a lot of money. The people that are watching, even our plow trucks don't even cost this much. But the amount of data that Mr. Trotsky and his department have to watch over countywide, and the security that's involved in that is absolutely impressive. And so I hope everybody understands all the records that need to be kept. It's very intense, and it requires a lot of detail and a lot of work. And so, and that all falls under Matt to watch all that. And it costs money to keep that secure and keep it updated. So, any further questions or comments? We'll go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up will be building maintenance.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, item A, Consider approving a quote from CNC Contracting out of Hutchinson, Minnesota to seal coat and stripe parking lots at the McLeod County Government Center at a cost of $28,396 with the funds from the building maintenance and repairs budget.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Nagel, second by Schmaltz. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
All right, item B, considering a quote from Newbarth Landscaping, Glencoe, Minnesota for landscaping work at the courthouse, including removing 3 windows, blocking up openings, rebuilding retaining wall, regrading dirt, installing 5 metal grates over the drain tile, landscape fiber, 1.5 granite rock, shrubs, and 1 ornamental tree at a cost of $18,227 with the funds from the building maintenance account.
Move request, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Motion by Schmaltz, seconded by Nagel to approve the quote from Newbarth Landscaping at $18,227. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
And item C, considering a quote from Bradley Security LLC, Glencoe, Minnesota, to create a new master key system and rekey the law enforcement center at a cost of $28,135.90 with the funds from the building maintenance and repairs budget.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Nagel, second by Schmaltz to approve a quote from Bradley Security at a cost of $28,135.90. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
As with the previous ask that we did just a few minutes ago, again, for the viewing public, this is something that Facilities Supervisor Bauer had brought before the board. We discussed it at workshop. He showed us the needs, and if it looks like we move through these a little bit fast, it's because we as a county board and staff have already reviewed the need, and so I can support the request as presented.
Okay, any further comments or questions?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
Mr. Bauer, mentioning that workshop, I think during that workshop you had alluded to a few of the advantages. I don't know if it was the actual hardware that Bradley was quoting and offering, or if some of their past service. Can you just highlight what some of those considerations were that lead us to Bradley rather than, maybe say, Elite or some of the others?
So it was hardware. They did quote a little bit better quality hardware. So that was really the main thing right there, is just there was a little more cost in the hardware.
And then have we utilized Bradley in the past, and how has that service been?
We have, yep. We don't have a designated locks, so-called locks right now, but they rekeyed the courthouse back in the early 2000s. That was their, they set the system up originally, and then just over the years we used them various different buildings at the county.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Moving on to employee relations.
Good morning.
Morning.
I just have one item this morning. Consider approving the Personnel Committee approved temporary $150 per pay period stipend for one of our Sheriff's Office's employees who will be taking an out-of-class job duties for a staff member who will be out on a temporary leave. This will be a very short period of time this summer, but based on the time that our permanent employee in the role is out, it affects staff. These are some large events, so that is why we're bringing this to the board, again, for these out-of-class job duties.
Okay, questions or comments, anyone? I can make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Looking for a second?
Second.
Motion by Wright, second by Nagel to consider approving the recommendation by Personnel Committee. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Finance.
Good morning. I am asking for consideration for 3 credit cards for the Southwest Minnesota Adult Mental Health Consortium, since McLeod County will be taking over as fiscal host. This will provide 1 credit card for the director and the 2 housing specialists.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Nagel and a second by Schmaltz to approve 3 credit cards for the Southwest 18 Minnesota Adult Mental Health Consortium. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
And Colleen, with the approval of the credit cards, can you explain a little bit on how the charges are monitored and reviewed prior to paying the credit card bill?
Yeah, so Emily in Health and Human Services will review the credit card bill, and then we have to get all the receipts from the housing specialist, and the director will have to actually get the receipts to us so we can, make sure that they're legitimate charges. And then she will check off on it, and then also I will be approving it.
Excellent, thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to county admin, commissioners' calendar.
Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Some personnel-related conversations over the last couple of weeks, which is constant, which is fine. I think that's a good system that we have in place to make sure we're reviewing that. Nobody likes a drought, but when it rains, the water problems start to get brought up. Spent nearly 2 days out in the district that I represent, meeting with different landowners and their concerns that they honestly have forgotten about for the last 2 years because of the lack of rainfall. And so met with Ryan this morning about some of them already. So that's really been the lion's share of my last couple weeks. I do owe the staff a thank you. Some scheduling conflicts where I haven't made all the meetings, and they've done a good job of keeping me in the loop and answering all my questions that we went through there. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. On the 9th, completed an exit meeting with the state auditor, and once again, our finance department did an excellent job of being able to manage the books and keeping everything accurate. On the 13th, Fairgrounds Commission, we talked about getting our new building started. The electrical work that we had approved is going to happen on track with the timeline that we were hoping for. 14th, Budget Committee met yesterday on the 20th, started out the day with our Economic Development Committee, and last night attended the McLeod County Fair Board meeting, as that group is counting down the days to get ready for that wonderful August event known as the McLeod County Fair. Just another kind of a we'll just call it kind of a community update. Frequently, I bring in comments about our agriculture and youth programs like our 4-H and our FFA, but there is another one that exists out there. It has to do with the young ladies in the dairy industry that you see at parades and handing out ice cream during the month of June. There's a statewide contest called Princess K of the Milky Way, and if you're familiar with that, you know that there are 10 young ladies selected throughout the entire state that compete for the spot, and they get their butterheads carved during the state fair. McLeod County frequently has young ladies competing in this event that make it through those final rounds, and there's dozens that compete. It's a full weekend of anywhere from mock interviews to prepared speeches to picking the right ones that are there to represent the industry and be that smiling face with a glass of milk. So, and again, McLeod County, we've had several Princess Ks, and we've had a lot of our young ladies make it far enough to be in that butterhead cabinet at the state fair. So, got to throw in this little bit of a proud dad moment on that one, that my daughter was selected to be one of them, but we have 2 from McLeod County this year that gets to be out of those 10 spots. The other is Rachel Visser, that I've known very, very well from her young days of showing cattle, and very active in all the 4-H and FFAs. So this is, again, just a sign of the strong, volunteers that we have out there, the supporters of an industry that exists to be able to get 2 young ladies selected this year to be at that state fair cabinet of Butterhead. So I just want to bring that out there. A lot of great youth that we have here in McLeod County.
I think we've watched them grow up with the 4-H updates.
I think so. Yeah, probably did. So. Good here. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and congratulations to the McLeod County Dairy Princess candidates and to the Wright family as well.
Thank you.
Since our last county board meeting, I attended the Winston City Council meeting on Tuesday evening, the 7th of May. The Winston City Council does invite me in annually to give an update and a report on county activities. It also exposes us to their questions as well. I attended along with Administrator Murphy. We were very well received, a lot of interaction between the council members, and that time with city governments is very much appreciated. The following day, Wednesday, I had an agenda review with our CHB administrator. And then the following day, Thursday, we had a CHB Joint Powers Board meeting in Gaylord, Minnesota. Last week, on Monday the 13th, I attended a Bridges Out of Poverty training session. The session speaker was Susie Johnson-Smith. She speaks about poverty amongst us, poverty that exists, and how poverty is different. It's not just being poor. It has a lot of other factors involved in the meaning of being in poverty. So it was a training session for a program that the CHB is doing the last year or two, and it was very worthwhile sitting in on the training and listening to the speaker. And then yesterday, I did a Zoom meeting with Minnesota Rural Counties, MRC. Commissioner Kruger and I, along with Administrator Murphy, were part of the viewing of the meeting, and it was a legislative update following the end of the legislative session that occurred Sunday evening at midnight.
Okay.
And that's all I got, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anything from the Attorney's Office? No? Back to our Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item A, consider reappointing Andrew Engel to McLeod County Engineer effective May 21, 2024 to May 20th, 2028. These are 4-year appointments. They're in statute. I just want to note that Andrew has done a magnificent job in his time as our county engineer thus far. We're very proud to have you on our staff. And I've had all good feedback in between now and our last meeting and prior. I have had good feedback from the public, from our staff, and from Andrew. And I've asked him if he enjoys his job. And it's obvious that he has passion for his position, and you've done a great job with your team as well. Thank you, Andrew.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Because it'd be fun for me, I'd love to make him sweat, but Andrew, thank you very much for what you've done. It's been a breath of fresh air, especially your interaction with the board and keeping us up to date. So I would move to approve the appointment.
And Mr. Chair, I'm happy to second the motion.
All right. We have a motion by Nagel, a second by Schmaltz to consider reappointing Andrew Engel to the McLeod County Engineer. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
And Andrew, I appreciate the work you do for McLeod County. I'm really happy to support you in your position. And you know, we're just so happy to have you on board to deal with the issues in highway and public works in McLeod County. Thank you.
Can I just make one more note?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I know that we always have a lot of questions, a lot of open houses with the public. You do have a lot of public interaction in this role. And I haven't had the chance to tell the board, but a couple of weeks ago, Andrew was getting phone calls, and he called me in the middle of the day. That was about to start the highway project for the airport road. And he went out there, met with the person, the property owner, listened to them, and resolved the problem within about 10 minutes. While there was neighbors gawking everywhere, which was kind of funny because they were very curious what was going on. But he does have a quick resolution style, getting out there and seeing the people face to face, and that's been helpful. So I wanted to note that. Thank you.
I'll just add a comment in there too. I think you're doing a fantastic job. Your dedication to our transportation system here, our constituents, is wonderful. So thanks for your work. Yeah, how do we think the vote's going to go today? Let's call that motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Round of applause. Nice job. Item B, notification of board workshop following our board meeting on Tuesday, June 4th, 2024. here at the McLeod County Government Center at 520 Chandler Avenue North, Glencoe, Minnesota. And this workshop will be the board's annual highway tour, so we'll be out on the road. That was moved from the fall to the summer. And then item 12C was added at the beginning of the meeting. Request the addition of item 12C, we already did that part. Consider approving the stipulation agreement between McLeod County and the Minnesota Public Employees Association. What this does is approves the stipulation for Minnesota, or MINPIA, the Public Employees Association. The Corrections and Communications unit plans to split and have 2 units. They would still be in the same union or under the same union. However, they would be 2 separate groups for those 2 separate roles. And they will petition that with BMS, the Bureau of Mediation Services. Your agreement helps that transition go more smoothly. It would occur either way. I did speak with our county attorney regarding this and our negotiations committee, along with Alec Rowley, the business agent for the union. And we were aware during our negotiations last year that this would be coming up. Thank you.
Okay, so we do need a motion to approve the agreement.
Yes.
I'll move to approve.
Okay,
Second.
we have a motion by Nagel and a second by Schmaltz to approve our stipulation agreement. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
That does bring us to the end of our scheduled agenda for today. Is there anything from open forum or press relations? Any questions at all? Okay, then we are looking for a motion to recess. We have a motion by Nagel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Schmaltz to recess until our next county board meeting, 9 a.m. Tuesday, June 4th at the McLeod County Government Center. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Take a few-minute break and we'll begin our workshop agenda.